Congressman Nathaniel Moran joins me now. Congressman, great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us. It's been a very big news week in terms of tariffs market reaction. I would like to get your reaction with what the president did this week.
Well, I think what you're seeing out of the White House is the strength that we've been missing for the past 4 years, strength enough to bring other countries, now nearly 75 plus countries, to the table to negotiate down the trade barriers that they have had in place against American products. It has been, no doubt, a tumultuous week in the market, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry that we're having to go through that, but frankly, we've got to have a resetting on the international stage that is pro-American. President Trump is doing that. I think the long-term effect of what he's doing is going to be positive.
And Congressman, what are your thoughts on this 90-day pause in tariffs? Is it enough to renegotiate trade terms effectively?
Brennan, I just lost you in your mic, so I didn't hear that question.
Yes, sir. So what are your thoughts on the 90-day pause in tariffs? Is it enough time to renegotiate trade terms effectively?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm glad there's a 90-day pause. I've said from the beginning that as a short-term negotiation strategy, I support what the president's doing. As a long-term economic policy, I don't like tariffs. Tariffs are just another name for a tax. The consumer always pays the tax. We do not want to see high tariffs long-term. I think that's going to be harmful to the economy and harmful to the consumer. But as a short-term negotiation strategy, you've seen it brought people to the table. I think we're going to see those other countries bring down their tariff barriers and their non-tariff trade barriers, both in Europe and across the world, and Asia in particular. That's going to be helpful to the American worker.
And do you believe these tariffs are an effective tool in negotiating with China and other countries, and are they hurting more than helping?
Again, we're going to have some short-term pain. There's no question about that, because the resetting of negotiations across the world is going to be tough for everybody to go through for a while. My hope is that this negotiation is going to result in lower tariffs, lower trade barriers across the world, and benefit the American worker. Again, I like it as a short-term negotiation strategy, and it obviously has worked as that, because it brought folks to the table. 75 plus countries have already come to the table. But long-term, as an economic policy, I'm a Reagan free trade guy. I think we need to have free trade with fair countries, punish those countries like China that are engaged in unfair trade practices, make them change their unfair trade practices, make them quit stealing our intellectual property, make them quit dumping their products that undercut American manufactured products. They've been doing it to us for decades, and we've got to put a stop to it.
Congressman, I've just got one last question for you. What reassurances can you give to your constituents that their livelihoods won't be collateral damage in this trade conflict?
I would say for anybody out there, the first reaction should be to relax, not react in this moment, because to reset the trade policies across the world, we are going to have to go through a little bit of a bumpy road here in the next 90 days, maybe more than that, maybe a few months more than that. But I think trust the president. He's got strength in the White House, and he is forcing the rest of the world to come to the table to lower the trade barriers, lower the tariffs that they're imposing on our products. That's going to be better for us long term. Then we can turn our attention and our focus on China and make sure that we punish China for its unfair trade practices.
All righty, U.S. Congressman Nathaniel Moran, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks.